Alright, so today what we're going to do is make a composite image out of several different photos in Photoshop, and we're also going to explore the adjustment layers and some of the cool things you can do with that. So let's get started. So first off, we're going to go to the photos, and we are actually going to take this whole chunk here and we're going to drag it right over to the bridge. And why am I doing that? It's just much faster than navigating. If you can get away with it, go for it. So once this stuff opens up, I'm just going to actually switch back. I'm going to use this little thing here basically to spotlight. So whenever I throw this little guy on and I mouse over stuff, that's basically calling attention to important things that I'd like to show you. So I'm just going to fill this entire screen here. So what we have here are our subject matter, and we are going to pick and choose, one of these things to actually make our composite. The idea is that we're going to actually take a guitar, one of these guitars here, and we're going to cut it out and kind of make a stage, kind of like these reference photos here. Maybe use some curtains, sort of kind of like what's going on here. And we are going to possibly give a lighting effect of what's going on in through here, and also what's going on in through here. Just reference material. So first things first. We are going to go in and find a suitable guitar here. Now we got 3 guitars. Now what we want to do is cut this out and basically rotate it 90 degrees so it's vertical. So I think that probably the best application would be this particular one here, just because it is nice and uniform. It's not distorted. These ones here are a little distorted, so it might be hard to actually get a decent cutout from it, and you would probably end up resizing it anyway. But before we do that, what I'd like to point out is that if you take photographs in RAW, that's excellent. If you don't, and you want to have the same color optimization and color adjustments you can get in RAW, what you want to do is actually go over to your preferences. You go to preferences, and you'll notice there's camera RAW preferences. We go to preferences first. Okay, and that's going to pop up. Oh, fudge. Actually, you know what? That is in Bridge, and I want to change this stuff in Photoshop. So what we're going to do actually is we're going to open up Photoshop. Very important. Right, so we're in Photoshop. So what we're going to do is go to Preferences, File Handling. Okay, you'll see, and what you want to do is make sure, I'm just circling this, they prefer Adobe Camera Raw for JPEG files is turned on. By default, it's turned off. So when you open up a JPEG, it's just going to appear as a JPEG. But if I click this on, and then I go OK, then I'm going to go back to this particular file that I want to open. I've got several different versions here, so I want to open it with CS3 right now. Just learning CS4, so I want to get this right. You're going to see that that what you have is this opening up the Camera Raw dialog box with all the cool color controls, etc., etc. And you can go in and you can change the brightness, you can change the blacks, etc., to match and to color correct. Now, what's really cool about this option, this feature, is that if you're going to cut an image out, you want to make sure that the exposure, the saturation, the color temperature, if it was taken in the sun or whatever, it matches the background or the scene you're cutting it out on. For example, if I was cutting this guitar out and sticking it on a sandy beach in a sunset, I would probably warm this entire thing up. So now you see I suggest that it's been sunny out, so you're going to kind of see, oh, this could be an afternoon. And you cut it out, throw it in the beach, do whatever, cool, right? So basically it just gives you a very quick way to adjust. And if I was to go open image, I'm going to open this up. I can always go back. You'll see actually that this little slider thing here, that shows me that this particular image has some adjustments to it, but the original stays intact. It's not carved in stone. I can go back to this particular RAW file and make sure everything is cool. Now, these are RAW files, by the way, just to let you guys know. If it was a JPEG, of course, the suffix on there would be JPEG, but I would still get the same dialog box across. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to basically convert to my color working space. Why I do that is because my monitors are color calibrated. I want to make sure everything is as consistent as possible. If you're working on various computers, various workstations, try to stick to one workstation. If you hop around to different computers, chances are that the monitor color and saturation and stuff won't be exactly the same. So the minute changes you make to your Photoshop file will be a little different from each computer you go to. So when you see, when I open this up, it's got a nice color, but if I close it, I don't care about that. I'm going to open up the actual file again, just to show you. And there you go, and it's the same, and I can change it. Nothing is carved in stone. So I'm going to back the temperature off a little bit here. I'm going to make it a little bit cooler. I'm going to increase the blacks. Increase the black because we're putting this against a black background, so I kind of want to have a little bit of shadow here. The brightness, well, we can keep the brightness as it is. Let me brighten it just a little bit. The contrast, she's good. Vibrance and saturation, that basically just pumps up the amount of color right across the board. See, when I back it off, you can get a black and white. When I throw her all the way up to 100%, the colors just really pop. So it's really up to you and up to how you choose to do stuff. And if I click down here, the Adobe RGB, this little guy here, you can change this. If I click on this, you'll see you get this nice thing. You can assign different color profiles, 16 bits or 8 bits. 16 bits means basically double the color information. Photoshop files either run 8, 16, and in some situations 32. If you happen to work in a 32-bit system, that is sweet. Good for you. Most of the time you can't. It's the architecture of the actual OS that chooses that for you. Anyway, size, basically this size here, if you don't see a minus or a plus like this guy, this is the native size. This is the size that the camera was taken at. So if I was to jump this up, you see this is increasing the size. When you increase the size in the raw dialog box, it actually does a better job of it than just like scaling it up with the free transform tool. There's different algorithms involved that help that out quite a bit. So anyway, let's just bump it up just a wee bit. And of course the resolution 240, it's going to be alright. We can actually type this into 300 just because our the canvas we're going to be working on, the actual ad size is going to be 300 pixels per inch. So we're going to go that, go OK, and I'm just going to open this image up. I'm going to convert this again. Alright, so now we have our wonderful guitar here. What we're going to do first and foremost is I'm going to, I can keep the bridge up there. I just want to close it, but it doesn't matter. So first thing I'm going to do is go to my background layer, and I'm going to just double click on this. Okay, I'm going to name it guitar just to keep things in order. The reason why I double click on it, number one, is to create this into a layer. Just force a habit, it's really nice to do. You really don't want background layers that are locked, because if you flatten stuff and the background layer is white or black, it'll apply a black background to any transparencies you have over top of it. So it's always good rule of thumb. So now what I'm going to do is cut this guitar out. I'm going to use the pen tool. And actually what I'm going to do from now on, I'm going to get the keyboard viewer up. Okay, so you guys have a nice reference. There might be a lot of stuff going on here, but just so when I press the spacebar, you see the spacebar pops up as option spacebar, etc., etc. So you have a nice reference point. So again, hit the P for the pen tool, and notice when I hit the spacebar, the hand turns into any cursor that I have in Photoshop turns into a hand. If I hit the spacebar Apple, I get the zoom tool. If I hit spacebar Apple option, I get the zoom out tool. So by modifying these three, the caps lock is on, by the way, by modifying these three different keystrokes, I can navigate very quickly around the document and zoom in very fast. So what I'm going to do is find a spot, get the pen tool, and turn on the caps lock, because that it goes from the actual icon to a nice, very precise cursor key. You see here, I go back and forth. So anyway, we're going to start, usually I like to start at a nice flat surface. So, and I'm going to do this very quickly. So I'm going to ignore a lot of